Hey, Mark, what's going on? Yeah, it's turning out pretty well, I think. I think both look-wise and performances. Actually, I'm really happy with it. So, and I've been kind of working at trying to get some kind of material for the tiles on the wall. And I think this one looks kind of. The other one was like really clean. It just felt like it's a hospital environment. Um, so yeah, I've also done some work on this end as well. Kind of just getting the pipe work so that the pipe work connects into the main pipe here. So yeah, that's kind of how it works, I guess. Yeah, and I managed to keep the light complexity pretty low. It's not too bad. There's definitely stuff that I could potentially make better, but overall, just playing through it, it works out quite good. And I've changed the layout a little bit here and there because um, just I kind of liked it to have. Well, actually, so one of the issues was with you know some of the reasons for some of the changes um, were a little bit due to some of the interactions. So like especially when I was to like lockpick a door, like this one. Before it was like really close. Oh, are you thinking like the tiles to make the tiles a little darker? I mean the wall part. Yeah, yeah. I kind of use a combo of some of the textures from textures.com. I kind of I mixed that up a little bit with some of the textures that I had, and mixed the normal a little bit. So it's got like components out of like probably 3 different texture sets. So, and I think once you do the paint, actually I don't think this has the right texture on it. So let me see, or at least the right material. I guess it does. There's something weird with the. I'm not sure why. I think it's something to do with the color. But I think the wear on this looks a little bit better now. Um, Looks like the normal strength is kind of awkward. Definitely something strange a little bit here. So let me see. Uh, du- 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 du. Yeah, for starters, it was definitely something with the normal strength, I think. I think the second one might be due to the tint. There we go. I think that's getting a little bit better. Yeah, I think that, getting this damage in there, I think works a little bit better than before. Um, I think the damage itself looks better now than what I had before. So I think that might work out quite okay. So one of the things that I was hoping to do is, there's definitely going to be a couple of rooms that are accessible on both sides. So one of them was, let's see, that would be behind door number, this one. Not that it has a number, but I would like to build this one out a little bit. So this is going to be kind of a locker room sort of location. And there's going to be a few of the lockers, and like some benches and some kind of gear. I actually had written down a little bit of a list for stuff. And yeah, one of the other things was just adding the lockers kind of set back a little bit, just because I've seen a bunch of locations like schools and like kind of factories. They have this setup where the locker is kind of offset back into the wall, so to speak. So they're not. Some of them are on the floor, kind of just outside of the wall. But for this one, I just wanted to put it like this. Oh yeah, thank you. Uh, yeah, if you're on the phone, then hopefully you can tell some of the details in it, depending on how big the screen is, I guess. So hopefully you can see some of that. And okay, well in that case, let's actually what I'm gonna do real quick, so I'm getting some light in there. I'm just gonna make this door opened, and this is weird because I remember setting this up where if it was opened, the door would have been open as well. So maybe I missed something there. But let's add a light in there as well. Okay, so we have this here, and there's just going to be a few edits that I need to do on some of these meshes. And I'm probably going to start off with, let's see, maybe I'll start off with this one because this is kind of like the just a cube, so I don't want it to be a cube. And I made a bunch of these just to help me with the walls, so it'd be something like this. Quite a lot easier to manage, and just use it as kind of as the door frame. And what I can do with one of these, since it's a little smaller, it's a lot easier to maintain. Yeah, he definitely did. He definitely did. That was huge help. Uh, I really appreciated his help. And I mean, that's the whole point of posting stuff. In the end, you're gonna get suggestions, and whether you choose to use them or you choose not to use them, I think they're they can't they're definitely gonna help. So you're bound to get some good some good info on from by doing that. Hey, it's Journey. How's it going? Welcome, welcome to the stream. Now that I'm looking at this piece, oh no way, GTX 2070. What is in a PS5? But I'm wondering, what kind of performance was the test based? I've heard that they were gonna bring some kind of like beefy type thing to it, but didn't expect that it was gonna be that. You know, which I mean, it's pretty damn cool. Oh yeah. Huh. That's pretty cool. I mean, they're going pretty gun ho on this ray tracing thing, which is good, I guess. Oh shoot, this is so interesting. This is like the huh. This is like the decal that I have for this door, which is so funny. Oh, hey, I'm glad you like it, Ed. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm always happy to try and answer questions. I'm kind of excited about getting this room done, just so that I can, uh, test out, just kind of walking around a little bit and seeing how the navigation fits, as far as fitting around the door, around these areas here. So that's a little bit exciting at the moment. Oh, that fitted pretty darn well. Alright, so now I just gotta fake this one a little bit. And the good thing is that it's kind of like a corner piece, so I can work it out pretty easily. And I think it might have been, actually that's going to work out, I think. There we go. I think that fits in pretty nicely. Okay. So next piece to fill this in is going to be like one of those flatter ones to 90. Nope, did not want to do that. So Eds, well, I guess it depends on how much time you have, and the level of detail you want to put in the level. I think that's kind of the biggest thing to take into account whenever you're doing this. Um, but it could take months, for some bigger levels, and it took me quite a while for this one as well, because I only do this part-time, or sometimes part-time. But and Mark, yeah, I've tried Fallout 24. It hadn't crashed on me too many times, but I think I tried it more for like the SSGI, so just trying to see how the global illumination would work, or the screen space global illumination. So. Yeah, it's so currently this level that I'm working on, I'm not sure if this is like the first time you're tuning into the stream, or you've seen like the rest of this being built out. Which is it's a decent size, I would say. I mean, at least at this point. Um, so I think the level building, it's not it does take time, definitely does. And but if you have the right assets and kind of the right plan behind it, it's not too bad. Like a lot of this for me had changed, so I didn't really start off with it like this. So what that brings is you're gonna end up like I ended up going back and redoing some of the stuff, and sometimes it's definitely good to have a plan. So, and especially when it comes to like interiors, it's a little tougher because you have uh, you build something out and then you're thinking, well, maybe this is going to fit a little bit better than before. Yeah, I was definitely thinking about going to um, and using 4.24, but I'm holding off for a little bit. Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. You probably have some of my info in the Twitch description. So yeah, I'm definitely up for that. Thank you so much for the offer. Yeah, I mean you can use that as well. It's just that it's one of those sites that I don't get around to update too often, so hopefully it works. Hopefully it works for you, I guess. So a couple of things that I wanted to get in here is also like a couple of sinks, and unfortunately I don't have that one asset in, at least not that I could find it. So I'm just gonna have to open some of the old stuff. Um, let's see where I have those. I haven't actually done a lot of 3D modeling lately, and so since I already have quite a bunch of stuff from way back when, let's see. I know I have a sink somewhere. Definitely do. Simple sink. There we go. So now I kind of have to do a little bit of what my description says for the stream. Blender. Alright, so let's see. I this was something old that I can't really. Let me see. Maybe I have something on my Dropbox. Oh, actually, I guess I do, but I'm not sure if it's. Let's see. You know what? Actually, something like this might work pretty well because there's also like the base, so I could, use the base as well. And then the sink. So yeah, let's try this part here. Though, by the way it looks, this thing is like ginormous. Freaking You know, it seems normal, about 4-meter height sink. Alright, so first of all, I just need to place it down there. And cannot seem to remember where I did some of the stuff that I've done when I did it. Oh, that's such a bummer. Um, sorry, sorry to hear, Mark. Alright, so unwrapping is not quite perfect, but yeah, there's some things that definitely need to be fixed, but let's see how this is gonna look in there. And so let's see, I think height of like a meter might, let's do maybe 1.2, and we'll see how that fits. So bathroom, and then this is gonna be sink base. I mean, I guess you can always set up a first world problem. You know, it's like I've been using that so often at work when I hear somebody like complaining about stuff. I'm like, you know what? That's such a first world problem. You should not be complaining about minor things like, oh, I can't find my extra connector for my PC or something, and you know, stuff like that. That kind of sometimes that kind of irks me for whatever reason. All right, let's see. I forgot where I exported this. There we go. I think I found it now. Alright, so we got a sink. Let's see if we can make it fit somewhere in here. And importing it, it's kind of the other question. Meshes, furniture, I believe would fit, and then cabinets. Yeah, I think that would fit on the cabinet somewhere. Oh, that doesn't really work that bad there, I would say. Now the big thing is about the unwrapping of this sink base, because or at least the material to use for it. I have a couple of wood material, but let's see what would fit for something like this. Wow, they all kind of suck. I mean, this one's kind of decent, but and I kind of like it. Actually, that's not that bad. So let's see if I can make it tie a little more, because so the reason at this point, let's see, I think I can make it just a little bigger. I think 2 would be enough, because I'm trying to do, so this is going to be like 1.5. I'm trying to think of, keeping the textile density in check a little bit better. And I think that's pretty much what I'm going with. So let's see how that works. Sync base. Okay, that definitely looks a lot better. So let's get the sink in as well, and kind of throw some sort of ceramic material on it. And actually, this is right there. So what I'm going to try and do is actually place it at the same origin point with the sink, so that way they snap in place a little bit easier. At least that's my hope. And I'm guessing some of the weird setup that I have here is because I did a bake, like an actual, like baking it in Substance Painter, but I can't really afford to waste all that texture memory on just an item. So this is, I think it's going to look okay if it has, one material for the base, and then the ceramic and the metal for the faucets and stuff. So, and I can go a little bit higher poly with this, just so that the edges are a little, not this really hard edge. So that way I can definitely cut back on 3 texture maps. Yeah, I guess the problem with like revisiting old stuff is that you can run into some issues. So let's see, I'm going to hide the normals because they're a little bit distracting. Alright, I think that should do there. And this one looks like it's not going to clash with them too badly. So if I position it somewhere around there. Alright. So I'm thinking maybe I'll keep these two separate. Though I don't really see the point, so I'm just gonna join these two meshes. So it's just gonna be the sink and the top. So let's so we got the sink base, and this is gonna be the sink and counter. I'm not sure if this is allowed in Unreal. I know there's some characters that they don't allow. All right, let's see how this works. I've kind of imported it without so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and replace it with the sink counter. So what was I saying? Well, I'm getting old, I guess. Oh yeah, part of the reason that I originally baked it was, and hopefully we'll see how it works with this one, is I think the sink was the biggest thing that I wanted to bake, the sink and the faucets. Everything else, would work with just, like tileable texture type thing. With the sink, I think I remember actually painting some kind of like a little bit of a drain and stuff like that. Those could be faked probably with a decal, and I'm thinking that's what I might use for this. So let's go. Let's do it. Oh, actually, first what I want to do is I want to fix these kind of weird stuff that's happening here with the base. So let's take a look and see what we're missing, because there's a couple of things that are missing from here. So oh wow. Nope. So why isn't this one part of the same mesh? Okay, so hopefully that will work to kind of remove some of the issues that I have with the missing faces. So there's that, but what's going on with the... Oh, the normals are flipped. Great. So let's go ahead and fix that. Kind of the joys of going back onto your, some of the older models. And having to fix stuff. So let's see, that's that there, which is fine. Down, got in place. Okay. Sync base. Alright, so we have some shells. This stuff here is still small. You know, so not that it's going to be noticeable or that the player is going to be able to see in there, but just a little particular about stuff. So there's that. So let's see how that looks. Alright, that's better. And maybe we can, you know, kind of cap the top here. Anyways, I'm not gonna. I was thinking of fixing this mesh all the way back to like making a new one, but it's just not worth it. So I think this is gonna do fine like that. There we go. Alright, so now let's see what we can do about this, because we got the sink and the sink hardware, and I believe there should have been a third material, so for this. So let's see, this one's the sink, and then the sink hardware is that, and then we need one for the actual sink. So one of the things that I'm hoping for, I mean, looking at the UV, it looks pretty straight. So you know, not too concerned about it, but we'll see how it looks once we put something kind of shiny on that. So change this real quick. Hardware, and then this one's going to be the sink. Oops, actually the sink bowl. So sink counter, and let's re-import this. Alright, so now let's try and find some kind of first of all, it's going to be the top, and I believe I have I think this could be some kind of plastic, you know, because they're got the hardware. This is the sink base. I should have called it something else, but so let's take a look at. I know I have some plastic here. Maybe that will do something quite okay. Now the hardware. Let me find some base metal, which doesn't use any textures. It's just the metal. So kind of burnished steel. We'll see how this looks. Actually, it looks quite okay. So now for the sink itself, see, I'm thinking of using also something like plastic, and maybe I can just make a second one that's, you know, a little bit of a different roughness to it or something like that. So yeah, it's already a different color. I guess it's a little bit of a darker one than the white. The one thing I don't really like off the bat is the I definitely like how I think the faucets look okay. You know, as far as that goes. Some of the shading on this sink is a little off just because it's too vertical down, and the level of I guess the shading properties that I currently have. So I'm going to try and make the base kind of not make it so vertical for the walls. So hopefully that would help with this kind of protruding out as well. So I'm just going to select these base pieces here, and actually I'm going to select the whole sink and separate it first, because if you do a let's see, what does Blender call it? Proportional editing. Then you're gonna, you know, shrink some of the other stuff. So let's turn that on, and let's see, kind of. So it kind of works, I guess. Though, let me select these ones as well. So the UV's got stretched a little bit, and I'm really I'm really unsatisfied with how this turned out as far as the. So I'm gonna try and select a different area. Yeah, I don't think it's the normals because it's just a flat material. So I think it might be. I think it might be the sink itself. So I'll try this first, and then you know, maybe I'll try a different material. All right, so let's see. I think that one looks a little bit better. Okay, so let's see how this one looks now. Oh yeah, the smoothing groups. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that could be it. But let's see. Let's see what this does. Sync base, sync counter. All right, so definitely a little bit better. And I think if I move the light a little bit, it's definitely gonna help. There we go. Maybe I'll just position it kind of right above the sink, so that way, you know, it doesn't cause any other issues. Okay, kind of okay. One of the things that kind of bothers me at the moment is this thing here. So I think I might change that a little bit. And by that I mean scale this. Whoops. So scale that down, kind of like so. And then maybe what we can do is actually just scale this up. So hoping that, you know, that line is gonna look a little bit better if it's underneath like so. So one of the things that I wanted to do is actually fix this, since it's a little awkward. mostly because of this kind of edge here. Because for whatever reason, I didn't really. This was such an old model. It looks kind of hideous now that I'm looking at it. But it's gonna serve its purpose, I think. Maybe I went a little too far. Alright, so another thing that I wanted to do, and probably I'll just do it for the top, is kind of getting rid of some of these, harder edges. So first of all, I need to separate this, and there's some kind of issues going on back there. Hopefully they're not too noticeable. So I'll quickly make a copy of this just in case things get messed up. And I'm using hard ops, and that's very useful for adding these kind of bevels and just making making things a little bit less kind of hard, that hard edge, taking that away. So let me apply this real quick. Yeah, the sink is really nice. Thanks. Hopefully not. Yeah, so this is one of the things that I was a little bit concerned with, that this kind of little gap here is shown there. So let's see if I can fix that real quick. Maybe I can just make the sink a little wider. Maybe. Oh, it just runs into the bottom. Why do I even have the bottom stuff there? That's a good... Oh, because it's the freaking cabinet. I believe, at least. Yeah. And some areas that you don't even see. Yeah, this is Blender. This is indeed Blender. Alright, so hopefully it's kind of hidden now, so I think it's going to look a little bit better. Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening. And I haven't really created it's kind of, sometimes it's reference photos. A lot of the times it's just, I kind of have a reference photo and then I just tweak it to kind of what I want to do. So it's very, there's a lot of artistic freedom. I don't have to answer to anybody as far as, I don't have any kind of specs on, I need to do it this way, or you need to do it this way. So I kind of do it the way I feel it would look good, and it would work. So I end up with stuff like this. There we go. Oh, and I need to re-export the base as well. So yeah, there's definitely a combination of the two. Kind of real life, photos, and just kind of a bunch of tweaking things. Which is, which is part of the fun, because you don't want it to just be, I mean, okay, at least for me, I'm trying to do something that's a little bit realistic, and as far as design-wise, or and 3D objects, elements of the game, but I'm not, completely locked into that. All right, so let's see. One of the things that I want to do is this seam here is quite off, and I believe there was another like line that was kind of getting in, going into the sink. So let's fix that real quick. But yeah, that would definitely be fun to like create furniture, I guess. Okay, so that works pretty good. One thing that I did forget to do is actually assign a material to the kind of the bottom piping and stuff to be what I think I called the hardware material, or sink hardware. Okay, so that one's metal. Okay, I think that looks quite alright for something that's a non-bake kind of thing here. So so there's a sink in the locker. A couple of the things that I wanted to do is also change some of the decal numbers. I do not believe I've made the materials for all of them, but I know I have a 7. So we'll just call this one 7. Or, well, I guess that's not a 7, that's a dash. What the heck? Weird. So 7. Um, there. Okay, that looks okay. So let me pull this to the side so I can see what's going on. I'm done with those. And there's a 7. Okay, I think that looks quite alright. And I just need to make some of the other ones so that since these are going to have some connection to the gameplay, you'll be able to you know, to find where things are. Alright, so let's I'm just going to finish off these last two walls in here and do a quick playthrough and see how you know, how doors open, just a little bit of the lock picking of the doors, and things like that. So I think the other reason that I like using the cubes is that it allows for you to get a better idea of, you know, where a light would like if you're trying to, you know, kind of keep the complexity of the light down, maybe you won't, or maybe you won't cast shadows or something like that off some of the lights. So at that point you might get light coming into a room or stuff like that. So I think with the cubes, what that gives you is also a better understanding of, okay, you know, I know that this cube is like 100 by 100 units. So if I have 3 of them, you know, I can make this light have a, you know, 300 unit radius, and I know if I don't cast shadows, it's not going to go through into the room next to me. And then you can just fake the other room to be, you know, a little deeper or stuff like that. So. And okay, so that stuff is in place. So I'm gonna try and see how the player navigates around here. And then we can, you know, kind of do a little bit of, you know, dressing up the scene. You know, some decals, a little bit of the vertex paint, maybe a little bit of trash and debris and stuff like that. Okay, so for that, I'm gonna need to load my persistent level. Hopefully this doesn't crash. It's usually a little bit heavier on when I have everything loaded, like all the other levels that are gonna take part of the demo. And you know, it also takes a little bit longer to load, so. Okay, so one of the things that I've also added is I'm not sure if you can hear it. Oh yeah, so hopefully you can hear it now. I need to find a little bit of a better sound for like the dripping from the pipes. It's just a little bit you know, it's kind of a little bit too much like stepping, like the character would step in water. So, and that's just a little bit of something that I've tried to do. So yeah, as I was saying, one of the reasons that I've moved this stuff around like this is because once you interact with the lockpick, and I guess this was already, um, it places the camera right around that area, and it would collide with the with the wall itself. So if I was to lockpick this, and I guess I need to get some lockpicks first. So if I was to lockpick, the camera would kind of, on the right hand of the screen, it would just run into the wall and it would look a little funky. So sometimes I get this, but sometimes it doesn't work so well. And eventually, like if you keep on going like this, if you keep going like this, you break the lockpick. So if I was to exit out of this and look at the inventory, I have 4 lockpicks left. Though this is not the icon for the lockpicks. That's just something to be replaced. That crumpled up piece of paper. So now let's see if I can go for a second. Go for gold. Almost had it. I guess it was on that end. Yeah, it's really cool once you can get it, but right now I'm about to have a rage. So I need to probably look into this a little bit, and yeah, so I managed to get it. Yay! And then the icon on the door changes as well, so it doesn't have that whole lockpick on here, so you can like open it. So now let's see if I was to drop that. Whoops! Oh, that was an interesting thing that it got created. I believe that I've actually made this so that it's dropping an individual, just one lockpick. That's kind of interesting. Huh. Okay, well that's a bug. I guess I need to take a look at that. Okay, so that is looking quite alright in here, and I guess I need to kind of tweak this door a little bit because it runs into the frame a bit too much. So I think that's a little bit better. And yeah, so back to here. A big thing that kind of I guess to me helped just looking at things is kind of the trim around, because I think it just breaks things up pretty well, like the trim around the bottom and then the trim around the top, which is they're also just kind of cubes or various shapes, rectangular shapes, and I believe that helps quite a lot with um, with the transitions between things. So okay, so let's see. Maybe I think I might just add another set of lockers, or maybe 2 on this wall here. Oop. There we go. So I guess we need to figure out something for this this corner, so it's not so empty. Now this is kind of what I like, having that, because once you have that at the bottom, and then let's do one, and I'm just going to scale this up. Yeah, so now something above the sink, indeed, and that's where I have. Yeah, well, so speaking about ray trace reflections, um, I think my video card could run the reflections, maybe, but not quite sure. So let me see if I can find. I know I have a mirror somewhere, and let's see how this looks. I think this might look okay-ish. Yeah, I think that will do just fine. You know, probably not ray traced mirror reflections, but it's it's reflections. So, and now that I'm looking at this, I'm kind of thinking maybe it will. I'm just kind of thinking about where to place the light at this point. You know, so one thought was to just place it above, kind of right above your head, type setup like that. And you know, at this point, it's probably a little bit too strong. I mean, I kind of like the angle of that, and oh hey, Flavanista, yeah, good luck with that. So as I was saying, yeah, the reflection for the screen space reflections, they look pretty satisfactory, I would say. So, but let's see if I can get this a little bit lighter. I definitely like this particular roughness. It does add quite an interesting little look to some reflective surfaces. And let's see. This is like one of the shaders that I didn't do myself, and I'm not 100% sure what some of the things that they've done in here are. So, you know, reflections look quite alright. I mean, you can even see the mirror in there, which is kind of cool. Or not the mirror, but the the door. So there's that. There we go. Just kind of tweaking down the roughness of that. That looks pretty cool. I mean, I think so. Now I'm not sure if this one would look better if it's like a vertical. Actually, I think I might like it better like that because it also has the shine from the. I think you'll be able to see the shine from the light a little bit better. So let's see how that looks in game mode. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I would say. And the player can get around these areas pretty easily, even over these benches. Um, and currently all these are kind of locked. This was kind of a little bit of a fun project that I did when I did the locking things on these, because if it's locked, especially for this type of blueprint, you know, uh, it adds a little bit of lock on the door. So, oh no, well it's one of those mirrors that you know they're not supposed to be centered. But yeah, let me bring this. You're right. I mean that was definitely a good catch. I know they usually try to center things like that, so that's good. There we go. And yeah, I'm not sure if I should. I think I might place these like this, maybe. I'm not sure if that would be, you know, kind of be a little bit more interesting. Oh, you know what? I'll probably do that, but I'll extend this a little bit that way, a little bit more, just to make it a little wider. So that way you can navigate around the benches a little bit easier and not, you know, not bump into it. So let's. Yeah, Mark is there too. Alright, so I'm going to select some of this stuff here, 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 and here, and then move them this away. Probably about to there. How does that look? Maybe I can make it a little bit wider. I'm also going off of the flooring so that it's kind of the lip is just at the edge of one of the tiles, kind of like that. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. You know, so you'd be able to, you know, get around the benches and not have the little you know, jitter of, you know, the jump over them kind of thing. So okay, I just need to duplicate actually just this one. There we go. Alright, so now this corner got bigger. What am I going to do with it? And I was actually thinking of just putting in like a bed or something like that, because it actually now it should just it should probably fit. So, and the bed, and this is, I'm trying to decide whether to use like something like this. Oh, actually, well, shower, that's a good thought, but for the showers, I am going to have this other room here kind of be the restroom and shower area. So it's going to have, like, you know, the stalls with the toilets and maybe a urinal or two. So I'm kind of thinking this would be a little bit more of a locker kind of break room type thing. So that's why I was thinking. Yeah, I mean a trash can. There's a trash section right here, but right now I think I'm gonna go with the at least for now. just with like either a bunk bed or just one of those things that hangs on the wall. But this particular one, it actually looks pretty good. So as far as the mesh goes, so something like that. There's going to be maybe a little bit of trash next to it. Maybe somewhere by the legs. Yeah, so something like that. That's my thought. The one thing that I do need to do is the materials for this, and I've recently done kind of a hefty cleanup of things, and had a bunch of stuff that I deleted or replaced with other ones. So that's why there's this stuff is a little bit of a mess. So let me try and find these things here. Alright, so let me remember to always save. And mattress and the blankets, I think this is going to have the bigger kind of impact. There we go. So yeah, that definitely looks pretty nice. And then the mattress, which is this. So basically the same stuff. Though I'm not entirely sure why. There's definitely something wrong with the normals for that one. For that particular mesh. And okay, now I figured out what was wrong with it. I've actually used the wrong. Didn't use a normal for the normal. I used something that was like a kind of an ID color thing. So there we go. So there's a little bit of that, and since we were saying to just add a little bit, add a trash bin as well, I think that would fit in there pretty nicely. Just to have something, right by the sink there. Okay, that is starting to turn out quite okay. So I'm just going to add a couple of the decals for some little bit of the damage and such. So let's see, I'm probably going to try and place stuff also around the ceiling. Oh, but you've never been to a frat house, have you? So I used to deliver pizza uh, to frat houses when I was in college, and believe you me, there's some stuff next to these guys' bed that you'd be surprised. And I mean, that's definitely out of context, kind of an example, but it's a funny. I think it was always funny to see that. All right, so that's a couple of alignment things that I need to fix. So I'm trying to find a couple of the dirt materials that I've created a little bit a while ago, just to add those in here. And one that could work especially, I think, nice around kind of the where the mirror is hung up. Yep, I did not want to do that. Alright, so I think though subtle, those decals definitely work out pretty nicely. I don't think I want this one to receive any decals. Alright, so that wall that was pretty barren before, it definitely has a little bit of more of a personality. And you know, you can also, the one thing that I like doing is also the vertex paint, which definitely helps. So I'm going to try and paint a little bit of stuff around the ceiling there, next to where this damage is, you know, kind of just around here a little bit, just like that. Definitely very helpful to have vertex painting. And you know, for example, in here, I'm probably going to try and paint a little bit around this corner. It also gives a little bit of a different. It has a little bit of a different shade to it, so that's also good. Just add that in, and down there a little bit, and you know, down here on this one, I think I've already done that. And this one, maybe I'll just remove a little bit off of that. So that's another room almost done as far as like the major details go, and some of the minor ones. Let's see, one of the things that I haven't really done, this is still looking just a little bit too plain, so maybe I'll paint a little bit of damage for these. Just like that. And let's get some of these tiles. So they're scattered around here like that. And you know, kind of stuff that might happen in, you know, you might get a leaky sink or something like that. So let's paint a little bit of kind of a puddle next to it. You know, something like that might. Oops, that was a little bit too strong on the. You know, so maybe like leaked all the way to there. Okay, I think that transition is pretty okay. Maybe now I can make a little bit more of a there. Okay. And you know, just to kind of add to just grab this decal here, which is a little bit of a kind of a leaking type thing. Oops, that wasn't it. So always save. I've been running into this quite a few times, so now I'm trying to be good about saving as often as I can. I believe it's this one. Yeah, looks like that one's it. And you know, make this quite a bit smaller. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely thinking about it, but I mean, with the way things are changing nowadays, I'm gonna wait a little bit till they, get cheaper. The way kind of my GTX was when I bought it. Um, but I mean, that's definitely I'm definitely gonna look into it. So I guess I guess it might look pretty cool. And I think what I need to do is actually kind of because from what I can tell, the GTX cards can run the reflections, not the global illumination part. I believe. So I'm not entirely sure, but I think they can run the reflections. Yeah, and that's why that's why I want to keep with my GTX 970 because I think by all accounts it's pretty much a mid-level card at the moment, and probably a year from now it's going to be mid to low level video card. So, and I think the reason that I want to kind of keep that is because yeah, I mean, if it runs well on a mid-level card, then it's going to run okay on a lower-end card as well. So at least that's my reasoning. So because right now, let me do a quick test and see how well like what I'm getting for performance. Also taking into account streaming. So I'm gonna close a few of these things, like some of these all these windows that I have open. So let's see how well this runs. Oops. So I mean, with the streaming, it's still above 60. Yeah, so that's pretty much the reason for it. Fazerdo, hopefully I said your name right. I think your occlusion culling is run by default by the engine. I believe that's an engine feature, so um, I'm not sure if it's something that you need to turn on or off. Yeah, thank you so much, Mark, for clearing that out. I wasn't sure if it was if it's something that's like a project setting type thing, or if it's something that is by default. So yeah, and like the screen space reflections, I think they work out pretty nicely. Um, oh, one thing that I haven't tried, let me try that out. Is actually where's the flashlight? Seeing if the how it works with like the player flashlight. If it was to like you know, shine it. Oh, hey, that's pretty cool. Because I mean, if this window was even clear, you might expect for people to think, oh, I want to see myself in the mirror. But I think it's gonna be okay. No, it is not a zombie survival since there's quite a lot of games already out there. So there's definitely some Luciogenic. Thank you so much. Glad you like it. But Fazerdu, it's more of an adventure, action, discovery kind of game. So there's definitely a I would say like a Grim or a um, me and Fabricius we were discussing this, and he mentioned eerie, but I think grim is more of an aspect to it. But you know, there's no monsters or zombies or you know, the survival aspect is just to the point of you can find items such as food to replenish your health or water to replenish your thirst, because the thirst is gonna, you know, it's gonna decrease. So if you get shot by an enemy, you know, your health is going to decrease. So depending on the item that you eat, you're going to get more or less health. So that's pretty much the survival aspect of it. Initially, when I first started working on this, I was also thinking of doing, since there's going to be some crafting elements in the game, pretty basic crafting. You know, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be anything too complex. So I was thinking of doing the, you know, being able to craft, and I have that in place, you know, being able to craft snare traps, you know, so you'd get like a piece of wire, you'd get a piece of wood, and you'd be able to craft this little thing that you'd place around the areas where, you know, little critters would uh, you know, travel. So you'd be able to catch a critter, and then, you know, I also made it so you can craft a campfire, so you'd be able to cook it. But then I'm thinking, you know, maybe I won't go into it too much. You know, there's already a ton of stuff like that happening out there. So what I'm gonna fall back on with the crafting is items such as like a makeshift silencer for the gun, because that's simple, and at the same time, when you use it, it's not going to create a noise that will attract other enemies. So that would be kind of an item to craft. And for the crafting, it actually works off of recipes. So you pick out a recipe, and that doesn't add to the weight of the inventory. But what it does do, it tells you when you inspect the item. It works in a way of you just bring the item up to your face. It's actually pretty cool. I was pretty happy how it turned out. But I need to do a little bit of fixing of it. So you bring the item up to your face, you know, you kind of hold it up in your hand. I don't have a Steam page because there's nothing out there as far as, you know, a game or something. But I'll create a Steam page once I have a demo. My first step is going to be to make a hopefully within the next, I hope 2 or 3 months. It depends on, you know, my work and how busy that is and how much time I have when I get home to work on this. So yeah, the info that you can get off of this is if you scroll down in the description. Yeah, 2 3 months is more like a year. At least I hope it won't be like that, because I have a bunch of the navigable area already built. So I'm hoping once I have that in place, I can make a buildable. I can, you know, have a build for people to test out and, you know, navigate around and hopefully, you know, report back on, hey, you know what, I got this video card and it runs at, you know, 10 frames per second. Why is it? So stuff like that. Maybe I ran into this corner of the map and I fell through, or I can't get over this obstacle. Maybe the collision is bad. So that kind of testing. And once that is in place, you know, um, I want to make a demo of the same navigable area, but have it you actually kind of playing this portion of the game. So yeah, and I think, Mark, that's a great idea. The trailer of because the way you enter the game, and it's probably a little cliche at this point, but the way you enter the game is through a plane crash sequence, and as opposed to the one that I've seen, I know it's probably in the forest, and I've seen another other ones where you're kind of a passenger and the plane crashes. So in this one, you kind of see ahead of you. And the reason why I wanted to do a plane crash is that you'll be able to, start the game in different locations. So my idea was to, whenever you start the game, a randomly selected plane crash sequence starts, and at that point, I'm thinking between like maybe there's probably going to be about three. So which are they? I already have one done. I just need to make the other ones. So they're pretty simple to do. Kind of the path of the airplane. And once it crashes, you'd be able to take a few different, three different paths to your next objective. And so that would give a little bit of, hopefully replayability. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the reason why I wanted to go with the plane crash, just because, it can give you maybe a few different areas that you can land in that I can easily set up. So I didn't have any other thoughts on how the player would enter the game, and it kind of ties into the story a little bit as well. So um, you are trying to like leave this island, and since you crash and you get into this accident where um, you can't remember why, you'll figure out why you were trying to leave the island in the first place. So that's part of the story, and also part of what happened. And I'm saying island, but because I started off when I started the game, it was like, oh, it's going to take place on an island, but it's just the location of where things happen. So alrighty, and so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking a break for a little bit. I just have some work that I've been putting off to do around the house, and I'll come back hopefully in a little bit later tonight, and as well as throughout next week. So hopefully I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys a little bit later on, tonight, and we'll continue some of this work on. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's not going to be for too long, because the next step, what I wanted to do is kind of replicate this room, and at this on this other side, create a bathroom. Oh, I wish I could. Yeah, doing work, but I mean that's the thing, when you live by yourself, you got to do stuff, because if you don't, it sucks, and people are gonna chastise you, or it's gonna be, if you want to have people over, it's gonna be tough. So I've had that, I've had people complain about, and reiterate to me that you need to do stuff around the house. So yeah, it is definitely a societal norm, and I think it's good sometimes. You got to take a break from the computer every now and again. So hopefully I'll see you guys in a little bit. I mean, maybe a couple of hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours or so. Um, if I usually post this stuff on Discord, because it's kind of the quickest way for me to post stuff, and it's a lot of people seem to be using Discord more nowadays than Facebook or Twitter or stuff like that. So And yeah, we do live in a society, and that's the part of it, you know. And you can't usually if you alienate yourself from the society, that's we're not supposed to, you know, as humans. I don't think that's good for our mental health. So okay, well, anyways, enough of that ranting, or maybe it's not rant, but so I'll see you guys in a little bit, or like I said, a little bit later. So until then. Hopefully you guys get to have some dinner or some food, you know, and we'll see you in a little bit. All right, thanks again, guys, for stopping by.